Twinkling lights, bright colors, action. These were the key ingredients in Lionel's formula for success. And this success was measured not just by profit and loss, but also on a more enduring level, by the fun and vivid memories provided the kids who grew up playing with Lionel Trains and Accessories. Accessories were a favorite of Lionel's founder, Joshua Lionel Cowan. He urged his engineers to keep coming up with new and exciting ideas that would prove irresistible to his young pipe-building customers. The result was an amazing lineup of toy train accessories that has never been equaled. A New Yorker magazine article described Lionel's energetic leader this way: Joshua Lionel Cowan is undoubtedly one of the biggest fans of his own products. He is likely to stand in his showroom and, with absolute absorption, stare at an accessory for minutes at a time, occasionally giving off a whistle of surprise. Be prepared to whistle a few times yourself. Welcome to part 2 of our tribute to toy train accessories. We open with a classic, the Lionel number 38 water tower. The 38 pumping water tower is a fine model of the large elevated tanks used to replenish a steam tender's water supply. The 38 water tower is one of the most unusual accessories Lionel ever made, and Joshua Cowan himself was the designer. When Cowan was first shown the water tower, it contained no water. "Where's the water?" he asked. The engineers had concluded that a tank containing real water was not feasible, since they did not want water spilling out of the spout and splashing on the tracks. Cowan wanted water, so he designed a tank that not only held real water, but gave the illusion it was emptying. The secret was a recirculating water pump, not unlike some Cowan had invented at the turn of the century before he started Lionel. The outside amber wall of the tank was in reality two walls, one 3/16 of an inch away from the other. The space between the walls is a storage area for water. It holds about the same amount of water as the reservoir under the roof. To operate, remove the air vent plug from the roof and, using the funnel provided, pour about 7 ounces of clean, cold water into the tank. Use food coloring to color the water. Lionel provided coloring tablets, but food coloring dissolves more easily. Don't fill past the horizontal line below numeral 1 on the side of the tank. Now press the button on the 96C controller. The spout lowers and a small motor operating the pump starts. The water is pumped from the outer chamber to the reservoir above. As the chamber empties, it gives the impression water is draining out of the tank and into the tender. After the control button is released, the pump stops and the spout returns to its upright position. Slowly, the water from the upper reservoir drains back down into the side chamber. The red-painted roof has a small hole in the center for filling the tank. Inside the tank are a solenoid and plunger assembly that lowers the spout and a small 00 gauge type motor that pumps the water. The tank is supported by a trestle assembly made of plastic. The base is die-cast metal. The 38 pumping water tower is as fascinating to watch as it is hard to find. When it is found, it is usually rusty and the original hoses are corroded. Rubber replacement hoses may be obtained at your local auto parts store. Those lucky collectors who do have a 38 water tower in their collection seldom, if ever, fill it with water for fear of damaging it. So many collectors have never seen it operate, until now.
In 1947, Lionel, because of problems caused by the water, decided to remove the pumping mechanism. The number was changed to 30, and it was otherwise identical to the number 38. The operating spout lowering when activated by a 96C controller. The first versions of the 30 have the same double-walled tank. Later versions have a slightly redesigned single-wall tank. Most of the roofs are gray. The 30 water tower was available from 1947 through 1950. After a 3-year absence, the operating water tower was reintroduced in 1953, numbered 138. The tank and roof are opaque, unpainted plastic. The tanks produced in 1953 are brown, and between 1954 and 1957 they were a reddish brown. The first versions of the roof are gray, and later ones are orange. The base was changed from die-cast to plastic. The water spout operates just like the earlier models. Lionel reissued the 138 in 1996 with a die-cast base.
The 93 water tower, made of sheet metal, was introduced in 1931. Early versions of this nicely proportioned tower were painted green and terracotta. In 1936, the colors changed to silver and red. In 1941 and 42 only, because of the war effort, Lionel used gray paint instead of aluminum on their accessories. All gray versions are rare. The 193 Industrial Water Tower is a model of the tank at the Lionel factory in Hillside, New Jersey. The plastic tank is painted silver and sits on top of a red sheet metal superstructure, similar to the one used on the 455 oil derrick. Lionel, New York is in raised letters on the silver-painted roof. A few of the superstructures were painted black, and these are rare. The blinking effect is accomplished by means of a thermostatic strip. When the 193 was reissued in 1997, the blinking light was activated by an electronic device, and the beacon lens was changed to amber.
The 455 operating oil derrick is fun to watch and trouble-free, a great accessory. The unpainted orange plastic diesel unit is the same part used on the Searchlight car. The drive housing for the pump is made of unpainted maroon plastic. It comes equipped with a hand-operated winch that is often found broken. A thermostatic switch powers the solenoid and plunger assembly connected to the beam, making the beam go up and down. A light bulb is mounted beneath a glass tube filled with liquid. The heat from the lamp boils the liquid, simulating oil being pumped out of the well. The derrick comes with 4 aluminum oil drums. A small tin sign reading Sunoco Oil Derrick number 455, usually missing, hangs on the tower. The accessory is activated by a 364C controller. The platform comes in red or green. Red is rare. The tower is common in dark green and rare in light green. The version with the red platform and light green tower is the most highly prized. This is a well-designed accessory and very popular. It has been reissued several times by modern-era Lionel. Choice among the reissues are the 2305 Getty Oil Products version from 1981 and the 12902 Marathon version from 1995. On real oil drilling sites, not all pumps have a tower, so Lionel produced the 12912 oil pumping station. It can be used as a companion piece to the 455 or by itself. It is virtually the same accessory, except that it doesn't have the tower and winch. Later production models have a lighted sign that reads Sunoco.
The rotary beacon is a familiar sight on most toy train layouts. Real rotary beacons can still be seen at airports and hospitals. The 394 is a unique design. Heat from a specially made bulb passes through the vanes at the top of the beacon. The bulb has a dimple. A stem on the beacon rests in the dimple and is the pivot point. The heat makes the beacon rotate. The beacon is made of lightweight aluminum and has one red lens and one green lens. The aluminum tower assembly came in unpainted aluminum, painted silver, red, or green. The beacon is extremely fragile. The slightest currents of air affect its performance. It is important that the beacon is balanced evenly on the bulb. Carefully adjusting the vanes and pivot point also helps. The 394, when it works, adds colorful action. The 494 rotary beacon was a great improvement on the 394. Lionel's vibrotor motor, used successfully on searchlight cars, was used to turn the beacon, replacing the flimsy hot air method of the 394. The vibrotor is a much surer method. It consists of an electromagnetic coil that, when energized, attracts a metal cup seated over it. A rubber washer with tiny fingers prevented the metal cup from attaching to the magnetic coil. This caused the metal cup to vibrate, which causes the beacon seated over the metal cup to rotate. It works. The beacon turns constantly and smoothly to the soft hum of the vibrotor. Tower assemblies are either silver or red. The beacon was also redesigned, eliminating the vanes at the top. On the reissue in 1972, the beacon was changed to black plastic.
Lionel used the 394 tower assembly to create the 395 floodlight tower. 4 adjustable floodlights are positioned at each corner of the platform. The lamps are 6 volts and 2 sets of 2 are wired in series. The 395 was made in 4 different colors: silver, red, green, and yellow. Silver is the most common, yellow the most rare. The 395 floodlight tower is the sturdiest of the Lionel light towers and was first reissued in 1995. The 195 floodlight tower was a new design with a tan plastic base and a gray plastic tower. At the top is a bank of 8 lamps surrounded by aluminum reflectors. The design resembles the floodlights found at a ballpark. The 8 bulbs are the 6-volt 2-pin type and are connected in series. A 195-75 8-bulb extension was also offered. It was an additional bank of lights with 2 sleeve extensions. The extension, with its original box, is highly desirable. The main tower structure of the 199 microwave relay tower is made from parts of the 195 floodlight tower. There are 2 microwave dishes at the top and a blinking aircraft beacon. A single special lamp with a thermostatic strip inside the bulb provides the blinking effect. The lamp is held in place by a rubber holder. The 2199 microwave relay tower was produced between 1972 and 1975 and is very rare. The tower structure used for the 195 floodlight tower and the 199 microwave relay tower was also used for the 299 code transmitter set and the 2314 searchlight tower.
The 197 radar tower is a good operating model of the radar tower seen at many airports. The base, superstructure, tower, and antenna are all made of plastic. The platform is orange on early versions, gray on later versions. It operates the same as the 494, using a vibrotor and rubber washer to rotate the antenna. The 197 doesn't perform as well as the 494. The rubber fingers turn a small metal washer that holds the antenna. The 192 looks more like an aircraft control tower than it does a control tower for the railroads. There is a delicate 3-cup anemometer, usually missing, on the roof. The 192 uses the same superstructure as the 197 radar tower and the 175 rocket launcher, but it's green instead of black. The interior is illuminated with simulated control panels. 2 blue rubber men are mounted on a disc that rotates. The only paint used was orange for the Lionel name and white for the arrow on the roof. The light bulb inside the tower is mounted a bit close to the plastic roof and frequently melts a hole in the roof. The 192 is handsome and hard to find in good condition, 2 qualities that make it desired by collectors. Lionel has reissued the control tower 3 times. The first, introduced in 1983, was numbered 2318.
The 12889 operating windmill, introduced in 1995, uses the same tower as the 455 oil derrick. Lionel's vibrotor motor is used to turn the bladed wheel of the windmill. The base and top are black plastic, and the top piece can be turned in any direction. The tower is painted gray. It's a nice looking accessory and another clever use of the vibrotor.
The 342 culvert loader is one of the most desirable and interesting accessories Lionel produced after 1955. It is a trackside building that loads steel culvert sections into a special gondola. The 342 consists of an orange and black crane, a heavy gauge stamped sheet metal base painted black, simulated concrete foundation made of tan plastic, a red plastic building with a dark gray roof, and a gray culvert track. The driving mechanism is the same as used on the 464 lumber mill. A claw-like apparatus on the crane picks up the culverts from a loading area and delivers them to a special 6342 New York Central gondola. The 342 has a ramp built into it, so the culverts roll to the end and make room for each succeeding culvert. The 345 culvert unloader was designed as a companion to the 342 culvert loader. The 345 unloads the culverts from the gondola and places them on a ramp behind the tower. The unloader is equipped with a magnet that attaches itself to the culverts. An extension ramp supplied with the 345 connects the 2 accessories. The unloader comes with the same 6342 gondola. Like the loader, the unloader is rather temperamental. The unloader is a little harder to find because it was made for only 2 years. The loader was made for 3. Even though Lionel's crossing signals were oversized, they were inexpensive, popular, and added action to the layout. Gates automatically lowered and red lights blinked. Most train watching is done at railroad crossings, so with these accessories, kids could recreate scenes they saw in real life. The automatic gateman is Lionel's most popular and enduring accessory. It has been in the line on and off for almost 75 years. The first gateman was introduced in 1935. It is closest to standard gauge scale, but was sold for O gauge as well. The 45 gateman is made entirely of sheet metal, except for the gateman figure, which is made of a crude-looking compost. Both arms swing freely, one carrying a red translucent lantern. The lantern is illuminated by a lamp housed in the base. The brass warning sign is mounted on a stamped steel post with open cross-truss detailing. In 1936, the sign was mounted to a solid stamped steel post. In 1937, the number was changed to 45N, and the crossing sign was changed to a more modern crossbuck type. The door was painted red, and the chimney was eliminated. The gateman also changed. He is now made of a more refined plastic, and only his right arm swings.
In 1950, the gateman went through extensive changes. The new version, numbered 145, retains the green sheet metal base, but the shack is now white plastic with a maroon plastic roof. Some versions have a red roof. The gateman figure did not change, but a 145C contactor was introduced. The 145C is an on-off switch activated by the weight of a passing train. Still produced today, the automatic gateman is Lionel's longest-running accessory. The 1047 Switchman comes with a flag instead of a lantern. No shed, no illumination. The blue fuel tank from the 3530 generator car hides the solenoid. The 145 was still available, so the 1047 was a poor seller, which is why it is hard to find today.
The 152 crossing gate is bright and colorful and has a great tin plate look. The stamped sheet metal gate is painted silver and has 2 black paper inserts for the striping. There is also a smaller pedestrian gate on the opposite side. The 152 is usually found with the pedestrian gate missing. Operators removed it because it hindered the operation. Reproduction pedestrian gates are available. The 154 Highway Flasher is another Lionel staple. When a train approaches, the metal wheels roll across the 2 154C insulated contactor blades on the track, completing the circuit for each light. This creates the blinking effect. The early catalog illustration showed the 154 with a red base, but it was never made that way. There are some bases painted Hiawatha orange. These are very rare. Most bases were painted black. The earliest crossbuck signs are made of die-cast and painted white with black rubber-stamped lettering. Later signs have raised lettering painted black. Since 1950, the signs have been made of plastic. Some 154 signals have white signs and some have black. Early light target assemblies were tapped for screw-type bulbs. In 1950, they were changed to accommodate bayonet-based lamps. In 1990, the 154 was modified to include an electronic flashing device, which makes the two lamps blink realistically. This eliminated the need for a 154C contactor.
The 155 ringing signal is a modified 154. The 155 has a bell mechanism powered by a vibrotor motor housed in a handsomely decorated white plastic base. A small metal cup with 3 fin-like impellers rotates, tripping a spring-tensioned clapper arm that strikes the bell. The blinking sequence is more prototypically correct than the 154. The crossbuck sign is the same part used on the 140 banjo signal. The 155 is troublesome. Lionel redesigned the mechanism in 1956. This helped, but the accessory was still temperamental. It was dropped after 1957.
The 140 banjo signal is an accurate model of the old-style wigwag crossing signal. The base is die-cast and painted black. The warning signs are made of black plastic with white painted lettering. The animated sign is activated by a vibrotor motor, which rotates a small cup with a post connected to the sign. The sign swings side to side, alternately covering a red warning light and creating a blinking effect. The 140 is sturdy, reliable, and common.
The 252 crossing gate is similar to the 152, but is made mostly of plastic. A lamp housed in the base illuminates a clear lucite bar, which in turn illuminates 2 small red lanterns. The solenoid mechanism was redesigned so that when the power to the gate is cut off, 2 counterweights raise the gate. In 1987, the 252 was reissued with a gray plastic base and red safety stripes on the gate. The 262 gate and signal is a modified 252 crossing gate. It includes a detailed signal assembly consisting of 2 lamp targets, a crossing sign, and a stop on red signal sign. Here's the prototype. Production models have a 2-piece molded plastic signal. Some catalog descriptions incorrectly say that the lights flash. Both lights are wired in series and simultaneously illuminate when the accessory is activated.
The 1045 Operating Watchman, introduced in 1938, is a clever animated design. Although too tall even for standard gauge, the 1045 provides simple and entertaining action. The figure is made of Bakelite. When a train passes, the wheels roll over the 1045C contactor, intermittently energizing a solenoid housed in the Watchman. The energized solenoid draws a plunger attached to the Watchman's free-swinging arm, raising it. The intermittent action makes the Watchman's arm swing up and down. Sometimes the arm sticks in the upright position. A good cleaning usually corrects this problem.
In 1999, Lionel introduced several crossing signals for its new mainline accessories series. Some are new scale designs, others are traditional post-war designs now made in die-cast instead of plastic.
The 128 animated newsstand is fun to watch and evokes memories of the corner newspaper stand that we have all seen in both big towns and small. The base is unpainted tan plastic molded to look like a sidewalk. The newsstand comes in two shades of green, light and dark. The light green version is harder to find. A 364C controller activates the 128. It works with a vibrotor motor connected to a complicated set of rack and pinion gears. It is a well-engineered piece, but was not particularly popular when first released. The roof, fire hydrant, and newspaper are often missing. The newsstand was reissued in 1982. The base and mechanics of the newsstand were utilized to create the 12719 refreshment stand in 1988, the 12791 animated passenger station in 1991, and the 12818 animated freight station in 1992. The vibrotor was replaced by a DC motor and drive belt system to power the action. Roadside diners are irresistible. They evoke memories of strong coffee, apple pie a la mode, and rock and roll music from the jukebox. Many roadside diners are converted old passenger cars. Lionel's first roadside diner, the 442, introduced in 1938, used a 610 series Pullman. The 12722 Lionelville diner was introduced in 1988. The diner was a 9500 series passenger car. The smoke unit is the same part as the ones used on modern-era cabooses. Mom's Roadside Diner was produced in 1990. A pair of 12804 highway lights were added on the 12802 Chat and Chew Roadside Diner, produced in 1992. Lionel first thought about producing an animated billboard in the 1950s, but they didn't come out with one until 1990. The 12761 is comprised of two billboards with slots cut vertically, then shuffled like playing cards. One billboard is stationary, and the other is connected to a coil and plunger assembly identical to those used on automatic switches. The two coils are alternately powered by an electronic timing relay. This creates an effective illusion of one billboard changing into another. Lionel thoughtfully put an on and off switch in the back to give operators a break from the annoying clanking sounds.
After World War II, Lionel stopped designing new tinplate items. Plastic was cheaper and allowed for more detail. Buildings now had clapboard siding and roofs with shingles. The 132 automatic passenger station is a good example of why tinplate was dropped. The 132 has the same automatic train stop mechanism as the 115 station. The 132 requires installation next to a small insulated block. When the train arrives at the station, it is automatically stopped for a few seconds, then continues on its way. The 133 illuminated passenger station is identical to the 132, except that the automatic stop mechanism is not included. The chimney is unpainted green. Since 1972, Lionel has reissued the station several times.
The 156 was immortalized on the 1949 Lionel showroom layout. 2 rows of 5 each were used, and that scene, which includes a 115 station, will always be a favorite with Lionel enthusiasts. The 156 is one of the first pre-war Lionel accessories that was not made of tin plate. The red painted roof and green painted base are Bakelite. The 3 support beams are made of die-cast metal. The roof was secured to the support beams with 2 finial screws. 2 6-volt lamps connected in series were used to illuminate the platform. 2 sections of black plastic fence were installed between the support beams. There are 4 metal billboards that are folded over the fences. An extra section of fencing was included to connect to another 156 station platform. These are beautiful trackside accessories, especially when connected to form long terminals. The 157 station platform is a redesigned 156. Lightweight plastic replaced the sturdy Bakelite. Lionel added shingles to the roof, and the platform has wood board detailing. The fence sections and billboards were similar to the parts on the earlier 156. Black paper was placed under the roof to minimize the light bleeding through. The 157 is not as sturdy as the 156, but it is still very handsome. It has been reissued several times, both in illuminated and non-illuminated versions.
The 256 freight station is a nicely detailed building similar to the 156 station platform and the 132 passenger station. The Lionelville sign, door, and window inserts are parts from the 132. It could fit between 2 lines of track. The 257 freight station is identical to the 256, except that the 257 has a battery-powered horn. The 356 operating freight station incorporates the design of the 256 freight station and the vibrating action of the 3656 cattle corral platform. 2 baggage trucks were included. They came in either green, red, or orange. The carts sit on rubber pads with small slanted fingers. Early versions of the 356 included a tin lithographed baggage load, but the tin proved too heavy and was soon dropped. 2 thumb nuts on the bottom control the vibration rate, which controls the speed of the carts. Adjusting the finial screws that hold the roof to the station also helps. When the 364C controller activates the station, one of the carts moves along the trackway. When it enters the building, it trips a mechanical barrier, releasing the other cart to make the action look continuous. The 1984 reissue works much better than the original.
Lionel combined a steam whistle with the shack used on the 145 automatic gateman to produce the 125 whistling shack. It is activated by a 90C controller. The base is either gray or green molded plastic. The roof and toolbox lid are either red or maroon plastic. The 125 was reissued in 1971 as the 2125 Whistling Shack. This is one of the most collectible modern era accessories. It incorporates many leftover parts from post-war Lionel and includes a lamp that lights when the whistle blows. Between 1976 and 1987, Lionel produced the 2126 whistling shed powered by a transformer and the 2127 diesel horn shed powered by a 9-volt battery. Both are far less desirable than the 2125.
The 334 operating dispatching board uses the same vibrotor mechanism that powers the 464 sawmill. The base is tan plastic. On one side there is a tin lithograph ticket office below a large billboard advertisement for Eric's fishing products. On the other side is a large dispatch board above a platform with a station attendant. The black plastic frame is secured to the accessory by 2 decorative metal speakers. An illuminated clock assembly is mounted between them. The billboard and dispatch board are illuminated by 2 lamps housed in the accessory. The dispatch board is specially treated so additional information can be written on it with chalk. By pressing the 90C controller, the attendant moves across the platform as if he is changing the train information on the board, which actually changes. At the edge of the platform, he swivels around and moves back to the other side. There are 8 different train names. The 334 works best at around 14 volts. It is prized by collectors and adds a different look to a layout. The 415 diesel fueling station has a sheet metal base painted gray, a white plastic building, and a red plastic roof. It is illuminated and there is a plastic sanding tower on the base. When the train stops, the station attendant simulates the action of refueling a diesel engine. A 90C controller activates the man. The man is powered by a complicated solenoid and pulley system in the base. A flywheel is housed in the shack and, combined with a large metal spring, returns the man to the shack. The 415 was not a big seller, mainly because the train blocked the view of the action. Lionel reissued this accessory in 1987. Numbered 12701, a DC motor replaced the pulley system in the 415.
The 445 operating switch tower is an accurate model of the interlocking towers found at switching sites and track crossings. One figure is standing on the balcony and another is hidden by the stair cover. When a train passes, a solenoid coil mechanism draws a lever back, pulling the first figure into the building as the other figure goes down the stairs. The idea was to make it appear as if the man standing on the balcony sees the train approaching, then leaves the balcony and runs down the stairs to signal the train. The reissue 2319 switch tower, introduced in 1975, is a non-operating version of the post-war original. It is made of lightweight plastic, causing the interior illumination to bleed. Lionel finally reissued an operating version of the 445 in 1984 with the 2324 switch tower. In 1990, Lionel modified the tower to create the 12768 burning switch tower. It is the same building, now in two-tone brown with scorch marks. The figures are new molds painted and named Charles and Hector. Charles runs up and down the stairs carrying a bucket of water, while Hector runs in and out of the building in a frenzied manner. A smoke unit provides the smoke, and flickering lamps were added to simulate fire. The original 445 type switch tower returned in 1996 with the operating mechanism completely redesigned. The coil and plunger were replaced by a DC motor, and an operating door was added to the balcony. But the main difference has to do with the figures. They both emerge at the same time.
The 465 sound dispatching station was a clever idea. The colorful building is made of plastic, and the window insert is lithographed paper. The roof is held on by two thumb nuts disguised to look like ventilators. Inside the building, there is a speaker and contacts for 4 D-cell batteries. The window is clear, and there is a panel board depicting dispatchers and track lines. A microphone is included and is connected to the station. One button trips the E-unit of a locomotive, and another button operates the mic. The microphone is primitive and very fragile. Many stations have been damaged by battery leaks. The non-operating illuminated 365 dispatching station was produced 2 years later.
The 352 Ice Depot is fun to operate. A train with a special 6352 Pacific Fruit Express reefer pulls up to the 352. A workman shoves a cube of ice into the car from the top. The car has to line up just right for the accessory to work properly. The superstructure is red plastic, but there are some brown plastic versions, which are more difficult to find. 5 plastic ice cubes are loaded by means of a solenoid mechanism. The 6352 reefer is a modified 6464 boxcar. It has a roof hatch that opens to accept the cubes. The cubes are manually removed through a compartment on the side. The redesigned 12703 icing station, produced in 1988, has a DC motor and works much better. The 362 barrel loader is made with a gray plastic base and a brown plastic superstructure. There is a sheet metal conveyor ramp that is painted light yellow. A rubber figure is mounted on the platform. The figure is blue on the early models and white on the later ones. The 362 comes with 6 wooden barrels that are placed at the lower end of the ramp. When the accessory is activated by a 364C controller, the barrels move up the ramp by means of vibrations, similar to the method used on the cattle corral platform. When the barrels hit a depression in front of the man, they fall over, giving the impression that he knocks them over. The accessory is good-looking and trouble-free. In 1954, a 3562 barrel car was designed to unload the barrels onto the bottom of the ramp, making the cycle complete. To use the barrel car with the 362, Lionel provided 2 special track clips and a platform extension.
The 12798 forklift loader station is another all-new accessory created by Lionel in 1992. When the forklift is moving forward, a load is seen on the forks. When it is in reverse, the load is gone, giving the illusion that it was dropped off in the boxcar. When the truck reemerges from the station, a new load is on the forks. Many accessories are designed to create an illusion, but the forklift loader station is one of the most effective. The 12929 operating rail truck loading dock is a bare-bones structure that doesn't do a whole lot. When this accessory is activated, a man holding a dolly moves back and forth. That is it. Lionel's suggested retail price for this gem is $100. In an attempt to increase sales, Lionel packaged it in reverse color boxes. Lionel's block control signals were modeled after various trackside signals used to control rail traffic in individual blocks. Like the crossing signals, the block signals were inexpensive and provided good action. Most of these signals use a 153C contactor, which is a single-pole double throw switch, meaning one switch alternately completes one of two circuits. The 153C is activated by the weight of a passing train. This contactor works best on temporary layouts set up on a hard surface. Two trains can be run on the same loop using a 153C. Signals may also be connected to Lionel automatic switches, such as 022 or 112. The action of the switch changes the signal color. The block signals may also be wired to electronic relays, which are tripped by insulated rail sections.
The classic 153 is Lionel's most handsome block signal. It was introduced in 1940 and continued through 1949. Early target assemblies used 6 to 8 volt screw-type bulbs. A resistor cut the power in half to prevent the bulbs from burning out. In 1950, the lamps changed to the 14 volt bayonet-based type. This eliminated the need for resistors. The 151 semaphore is a good model, but an erratic performer. Some early versions have the same green-painted die-cast base as the 153, but most versions are black. A plastic blade with red and green lenses is connected to the die-cast signal head. Early 151s are the hardest to find. They have one hole in the post. Later versions have 2 or 3 holes, a flat lens instead of a jewel design, and a black blade painted red with a raised black stripe. Most blades are painted yellow with a depressed black stripe. The 151 is activated by a 145C contactor or an insulated track section. A solenoid pushes a rack and pinion assembly up, which lowers the semaphore blade. After the train passes, a small return spring pushes the blade back to its original position. The tension has to be just right for the 151 to work properly.
The 253 automatic block control signal is installed next to an insulated block created by 2 insulating fiber pins in the middle rail. The E unit of the locomotive should be locked in the forward position. The train pulls into the block and the signal automatically stops it. After a few seconds, the red light changes to green and power returns to the block, sending the train on its way. The light changes back to red and the cycle repeats. A lever adjusts the length of the stop. The 253 can also be turned off, allowing the train to continue through the block. Some bases are partially painted black, others are unpainted. The plastic 253 lacks the quality look and feel of the steel and die-cast 153. The 353 block signal works like the 153 and looks like the 253. The 353 uses a 153C contactor to change the signal lights rather than the automatic stop device used on the 253. The 163 single target block signal is identical to the 353, except for a newly designed single target lamp cover. It is interchangeable with the 2-target cover.
The 450 signal bridge is a good-looking scale model of the signal bridges that span 2 lines. The superstructure is made of stamped steel and painted black. The 450 came with a 153C contactor. but more realistic action requires an additional 153C to control the two signal targets separately. An additional target assembly, numbered 450L, was offered for mounting on the bridge. The 450 is sturdy and one of Lionel's best-looking block control signals. The 452 overhead gantry signal is half the size of the 450. The handsome, realistic 452 allows operators with limited space to have an overhead signal. It requires a factory-installed base extension to keep it upright. The 452 can accommodate an additional target assembly.
Dwarf signals are used in sidings and rail yards. The 148 was designed to be manually activated by the 148C controller or automatically activated by a 153C, just like other block signals. With a 148C, an insulated siding can be manually powered and the 148 would signal a live block. Reissues came with a 153C.
The base of the 161 male pickup set is the same as the 353 block signal, and the solenoid is similar to the one used on the 252 crossing gate. A 90C controller energizes the solenoid, which lowers the flag to signal the train there is a male pickup. The sweep arm swings out towards the train, holding out the mail bag, which has a magnet inside. The train also has a magnet. As the train passes, the magnet in the bag attaches itself to the magnet on the train, and the mail is successfully picked up. At least that's the way it's supposed to work, but seldom does. The accessory has to be positioned close enough for the magnets to attract. If too close, the train will run into the sweep arm, or the train will prematurely grab the mail bag. Lionel first reissued this accessory in 1988.
The 2151 automatic semaphore was a rare original design by Lionel of Fundimensions. It uses the same solenoid as the 252 type crossing gate. The signal assembly is made of plastic. A small light bulb fixed to two leads of wire was housed in the top portion. The action of the semaphore is backwards. When a train passes, the flag in the lowered position raises and illuminates the green lens. Very little power is required to operate the 2151, making it more reliable than the post-war 151. However, the lamp is often too hot and melts the plastic.
Lionel's new mainline accessories include several block signals. Like the mainline crossing signals, these block signals are either new scale designs or traditional post-war designs made of die-cast. The Lionel 350 engine transfer table duplicates real freight yard functions by moving a locomotive from one line to an adjacent line by means of a motorized platform. Both the base and the moving transfer table are blackened sheet metal. Special brackets are used to hold the track to the table. There is a yellow plastic shed with a red light on the roof. The shed houses the motor, which is the same as that used on the 397 diesel coal loader. The motor drives two wheels at each end of the transfer table. The wheels are the same as used on the 2330 GG1. When a locomotive is run onto the transfer table, it is automatically stopped. Now push the appropriate indicator on the 350-200 controller and the table carries or transfers the locomotive to the next track. When the transfer table and the track are aligned, the red lamp lights and the engine takes off down the track. This is the transfer table with one 350-50 extension added. Each extension increases the capacity by 2 lines of track. The transfer table works well, but it can only handle one short steam engine or a single diesel unit. The transfer table is desirable and hard to find. The transfer table extension is very hard to find.
New accessories inject far more excitement into Lionel's line than an old design in new colors. One of the more interesting of these new accessories is the 12767 Steam Clean and Wheel Grind Shop, introduced in 1994. Complete with its own controller, the shop is comprised of 3 separate components, and each performs a different function. The wheel grind section has an attendant who grinds away the wear embedded into the wheels of a well-used locomotive. At the touch of a button, the grinding noise is heard, and there is a shower of red sparks next to the locomotive's wheel. The wash rack section is comprised of 2 large rollers that spin as the locomotive is run through. On the top are blinking red lights and 1 large blue light that blinks when the rollers are activated. The steam cleaning section features an attendant wielding a hose that shoots hot steam on the locomotive. The hose is attached to a tank. The steam is your basic Lionel smoke and is blown out of the hose by a small fan. The whole accessory is gray molded plastic with yellow metal railings. The Steam Clean and Wheel Grind Shop was a brave attempt by Lionel to make an interesting new accessory. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. For more information about all the trains and accessories Lionel has produced in their 99-year history, buy TM's Lionel Price and Rarity Guides. To order or for a free catalog, call 1-800-892-2822.